Hi, this is Dan Whitney with the Whitney Law Firm in Towson, Maryland. Today I'm going to talk about the issue of a illegal eviction, which resulted in a $70,000 settlement here in Maryland. Now, of course, past results do not guarantee future outcomes. All cases are different, the facts are different, and any settlement or judgment is based on those facts alone, and somebody else will have different facts. So do not rely on any sort of settlement to think that's what your case is worth. With that said, the issue of illegal evictions happens quite a bit, at least here in Maryland, and I suspect everywhere around the U.S. where you have landlords and property managers that could not care less about their tenants except when it comes time to collect that rent. So in this particular situation, a tenant was living in an apartment complex, and it was getting towards the end of their lease, and they decided to rent another apartment at another property before their lease was up at the first property. So they begin to take their time moving out of the first apartment and into the second apartment. And during the course of this occurring, and it's during the final month of the lease at the first apartment that he begins the move-out process, he gets a call from the management company that says, hey, we need to get a copy of your key. We got to do some work in the apartment. And he says, okay, sure, I'll bring it back for you. So he goes and he meets with the leasing agents at the leasing agent's office. And he says, hey, here's that key I got a call about. And they actually say, we can't accept that key unless you fill out this form. And the form was a form saying, yes, I am returning this key as part of moving out. And he said, no, that's not what I'm doing. I don't want to fill out that form. I actually am not moving out. You guys just requested the key back. I'm not moving out for, another 2 or 3 weeks. And they said, well, then I can't take your key back. And he said, well, you guys need the key to do work in my apartment, So he says, okay, fine. He decided to deal with this this request of the management company and gave him the key, and he wrote on the form something to the effect of, I'm not moving out. I'm giving you the key back because you asked for it. Okay, what could go wrong, right? Well, here we are making a video about it. So he gives the key, goes to his new apartment, and he comes back about a week later. And when he gets in the first apartment, all of his stuff is gone. And prior to this point, he had moved out probably about half of his stuff, and the other half was still packed up in boxes. But now the boxes are gone. So he says, oh no, what could have happened? And calls the management company, goes down, speaks to him, and he's told, oh, well, you returned the key. We thought you moved out, so we threw all your stuff away. The apartment was vacant. I said, no, I told you I wasn't moving out. You asked for the key. I gave it to you. I wrote on the form. Explains the whole thing. He can't get his property back. Apparently he's told it's gone. So the manager or one of the employees, assistant manager, says, well, send us a list of your property that was gone, and we'll see if we can do anything to help you, acting as if they're not legally responsible for their negligence. And so he makes a short list that's not complete and sends it to him, says, look, here's the beginning of a list just to give you an idea. And they consider it, and what they send back to him is not, hey, okay, here's a check, or what else is missing, or we're so sorry. They cite provisions in the lease incorrectly, and among other things tell him, well, you signed the lease, and the lease says, in part, quote, or something to the effect of, the landlord shall not be held responsible for any loss or damage to a resident's property, which some people think that everything in a document that you sign they are bound to. But what I can tell you as an attorney is that just because you sign a document does not always mean you are bound to it. Some things you certainly are, and some things which are illegal or void as against public policy, meaning it goes against the statute, are not enforceable. But, and we run into that a lot in car dealer cases, landlord cases, some other cases. But what they said is, we're not responsible. You signed the lease. And he said, well, that doesn't seem right. And he searched online for an illegal eviction attorney and found us. We spoke with him, looked at the facts, and took the case. And I always think it's not funny, but it's funny when landlords try and get out of their responsibilities by incorrectly citing a provision in the lease that's completely illegal. And they try to say, well, we have no responsibility. You signed a document that says we have no responsibility. And of course, once he got to an attorney, I said, look, this is illegal. They can't enforce that. They certainly have tried, obviously, and they tried in writing. But don't worry about that. That's not enforceable. I don't care about that. It doesn't matter. So we filed a lawsuit, and we go down the path, and they provided what their written sworn answer was as the basis for doing this. And he said, well, he turned the form in, and the form says, you turn in the key and you're moving out. It's like, well, you forgot to mention the part where he wrote on the form, I'm not moving out. This key, I'm returning it to you because you asked for it to do some work. And so, I mean, obviously we're right. Obviously they're wrong. But if it was that easy, there wouldn't be such a thing as litigation. And we ended up working it out. He had around, maybe $20,000, $30,000 worth of property that was gone. This particular matter was really just about personal property. It didn't get into what was about replaceable personal property. It didn't really get into items of sentimental value that are irreplaceable, because that's cause for significant, potentially significant more damages to be recovered. And the matter ended up getting resolved for $70,000. It was one of those situations where I say to the client, look, this is what's being offered now. I think we can get more later if we wait, but to each their own. And in this particular matter, the client said, look, I can live with this, and I'm ready to just move on. And said, okay, well, that's what we're going to do. So we got it resolved that way. And just keep in mind, past results are not a guarantee of future results. But with that said, God forbid, should you have experienced one of these situations, an illegal eviction in Maryland, please feel free to call my office, the Whitney Law Firm, and we'd be glad to take a look at your potential matter. Thanks for watching, and remember, you have more rights than you realize, and you should always consult an attorney if something like this should happen to you, and don't be fooled by the landlord telling you that you have no legal rights or you've given them up. Thanks for watching. Take care.